everyone, it's Trina with Chat with Trina, and today is Talk About It Tuesday. And I am talking it up with my friend Clarence Miller, who is running for Harris County Commissioner of Precinct 4. So let's get into it. But I want to remind you, make sure that you vote Miller for Commissioner. Everybody, this is Miss Trina with Chat with Trina, and I am so excited to. First of all, I want to say thank y'all for making the choice to click in the Chat with Trina. And today is Talk About It Tuesday, and I am talking to my friend, Mr. Clarence Miller for Commissioner Miller. So I'm going to say a few things before I let him talk and have his way. He's running for Harris County Commissioner for Precinct 4, and his priorities are flood control, infrastructure, which he has 16 years of experience, which from my understanding is more than any other candidate at this time, climate control, law enforcement, potholes, yes, potholes, public service, job opportunities, and sex trafficking. He has a proven track record of leadership, fiscal responsibility, infrastructure development, a tongue twister, and community service. Mr. Miller, how are you?
I am just fantastic. Life is beautiful. Been out all day long, talking to the people in the community, because at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. You have to talk to the people to find out what their needs and concerns are, versus me just saying, well, we're going to do this and do that, and nobody even want it done.
Right.
But it's all about communicating. So I love to go out and talk to the people in the community to find out what their concerns are. So that's what we've been doing all day.
And you, the cool thing about it is, Clarence, that is really who you are. Like, you are a people person. And sometimes as public servants, we don't always realize that, but you are very good. You're very comfortable, very approachable. And that, in my mind, makes you the best candidate for this position. But I also want to ask you, how much sleep have you and your beautiful, talented wife gotten since y'all hit the road in 2018?
Well, we don't go out dancing anymore, that's for sure. And when I do go out, I don't drink anything but water.
And say hi, you're ready to go.
Yeah, because sometimes we do 3-4 events per day, But I don't know. God has, see, a lot of people don't realize it. I am 68 years old, okay? And, but I think God has just preserved me for this time and moment in my life, for this mission, because this was nothing I ever thought about doing in my entire life.
Really?
Yeah. When the current commissioner actually won, I was shaking his hands. And if you believe, as I was shaking his hand, the spirits that run for his office and kind of scared me, because I never thought the spirit would ever talk to me.
Right.
Maybe you, but not me.
You wasn't that one that thought you was going to get that.
Yeah, but it was just so clear to me, what my instructions were, and it said start now. And that was back in 2018. So I've been out here campaigning since 2018. Everybody think I'm crazy, lost my mind, but I'm just being obedient to what the Spirit told me to do. And, once I did, I discovered that everything I've been doing for the last 16 years is what a commissioner does. He's over roads, bridges. I've been dealing with wastewater, built parks, set on a board with set tax rate, deal with engineers, attorneys, CPAs. And so I am uniquely qualified, been in training for 16 years to step in day one, okay?
Yes, and I looked at something that you were on, and you mentioned that you are not the typical or traditional politician, which is also cool to me.
No, I'm not. As I said, this was nothing I ever thought about. So I am not a politician. I'm just a father, a husband, grandfather, somebody who's really concerned about the direction that we're going in. We got kids committing suicide just this week. We had 2 famous people, Regina King, son. He might have committed suicide last week, though. Yeah. But this week we had another young lady to commit suicide. And you would think that they had all the resources and everything they've ever wanted in life. But, mental health is real.
It is so real.
People are going through so much, and they're finding it very difficult to deal with. We're dealing with hurricanes, tornadoes. We're dealing with the pandemic.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have lost their jobs, and family members are just dying. Just today, my daughter's uncle passed, and he's only 57 years old. Went to the doctor, came back home, and just passed. You know, and
crazy.
so it's not like we're getting a big notice, like, okay, you got 3 weeks or you got a month. It is happening all of a sudden, and it is affecting every family. You know, so I don't know too many families. My own sister has passed from the virus. One of my neighbors 2 doors down passed from the virus. So everybody knows somebody that's been affected. You know?
Wow. Is that the neighbor that you mentioned that got out of the hospital? Did he ended up passing?
No, this was my daughter's uncle that just passed.
No,
But the same thing happened to my neighbor.
Yeah.
He passed last year, and he had just got out of the hospital.
Yeah, that's good.
Called me and told me that he'd been in the hospital for 3 weeks and needed some money, needed resources. And my wife and I, she was cooking some oxtails and sweet potatoes and cornbread, and I was going to prepare some salmon and salad for the man. She said, "What are you doing?" I explained the situation. She said, "Well, let's just give him this food." I said, "Well, are you sure? These oxtails now."
You want to give our food away, Iris?
But so we gave him the food that we were going to eat that day. And then, I gave him a package with a little something in it, to help out with the utilities. And so the next day, I looked outside and saw the emergency vehicles out there, and they had picked him up, taken him to the hospital, and he passed.
Oh, wow.
There was no indication because the man walked around, looked as healthy as I do, so.
First thing that I want to discuss with you is the thing that happened with the redistricting. Can you talk about that, please?
Sure, absolutely. Every 10 years, county commissioner, they're going to go to a redistricting, and whoever's in charge, and by that I mean whoever has the most votes, that's who's going to determine how the map looks. And so I had lived in Precinct 4 for over 40, 50 years. And all of a sudden, I'm not in Precinct 4 anymore. But the law said in order to run for a particular office, I have a seat. Just like when I was over the utility district, I had to live in that district. So I have to live in the district that I'm running for. So we had to move. And so we moved to Katy so I can continue my run, okay? It is a sacrifice. My wife and I, we talked about it for a minute, and, it didn't take a long discussion. We just knew that we had to do what we had to do because we're committed for this race, and we're committed to trying to make a difference in Harris County.
It may not seem like it, but some people don't understand why we are talking about climate control. Can you speak to that briefly?
Absolutely. If we are to survive, we're going to have to change the way that we live and our habits. Transportation, we need to use, massive transportation. It sounds great for everybody to have 10 cars, but the pollution, is killing us. We're going to have to use more green, get rid of the carbon dioxide. Because if you notice, it's getting hotter, okay? I mean, they've got icebergs now as big as the cities that are breaking loose. When I was a kid, it used to really get cold. Now, this is kind of a cold winter we're having now. But normally, our winters here in Houston, we're in like 60s and 70s, and that's not the norm. And so what we have to do, we have to prepare for the future generation, okay? And so that's why, we have to, instead of riding the car, ride bikes, take massive transportation. Metro had a plan about 2 years ago where they had a drone, and that drone would be at the airport, and you could just get out your plane and go get in the drone, and that drone would just fly you to a park and ride or whatever, And so there are things on the board, we just have to implement them, okay? And so I believe in climate control. I believe in the science, okay? a lot of people say it's not real, but it is definitely real. Yeah. And so I'm going to do whatever I have to do. When we have an opportunity to buy fleet automobiles, I'm going to make sure that, we're in compliance with the automobiles that's going to, help our climate. When we talk about flood control, I use an infrastructure. I use a modern technology system called CIPP, which stands for Cured in Place Pipes. Normally, when you're going to replace pipes, you got the dump truck, 50 dump trucks, you got 100,000 people out there, and you dig up the road. It might take you a year or 2 years. But with this system, it was just one truck, and they go into your community and they go underground and they put a sleeve over that pipe. They shoot the air in it so it'll be in place, and then they shoot the chemicals, and the chemicals recreate the pipe underground, okay? And even while it's being created, it's wet. You can transport water in and out through that particular pipe. Now, this system is good for 50 years, In my opinion, normally pipes might last, 20, 25, 30 years underground, but this system is good for 50 years. And you're going to save a lot of money, because when you have to go out there and dig up the streets, and you got all those dump trucks and those workers and all that, that is a lot, okay? And so I believe, if you got technology, just use it. And plus, that helps the environment as well, okay?
Do you have plans on how you can decrease, or how you're going to put forth an effort to lower crime here?
Well, absolutely. It all goes hand in hand. Some of the deterrence of crime is, when you provide good jobs for people, they're not out there trying to rob and kill nobody, because they got good jobs, People out there robbing and killing people because, they trying to, they can't figure out a way, to provide for their families or whatever. And so they resort to violence, which is a wrong thing to do, health insurance, when they got good health insurance, that helps, So it all goes hand in hand. And at the end of the day, you have to provide law enforcement with what they need to fight the crime. We have really almost a pandemic at this particular point, because most of the law enforcement officers are at the retirement age, or they're just leaving at a rapid rate because they're not getting paid what they feel they should be getting paid. Now, I believe that, hey, we need to pay the people. I wouldn't want to be a law enforcement officer. But on the other hand, I will say that we need to implement policies that will protect the citizen and the law enforcement officers, okay? Any law enforcement officer that abuse his badge, he should never, ever be able to work as a law enforcement officer again, in my opinion, okay? But I fully support law enforcement agencies, and we need to give them the funds they need to fight the crime. In the old Precinct 4, we went through a redistricting. The old Precinct 4 was Humboldt, Kingwood, part of the Woodlands, Spring, Tomball, Cyphers. From I-45 to 249 is one of the worst human sex trafficking areas in the entire country. We're not talking about it in the city, okay? Yeah. Now, in the city of Houston, we got the worst death rate is higher than in Chicago.
I was just gonna say that.
So we're famous for two things, human sex trafficking and death rate, okay? So that should not be, who wants to be famous for that? I don't want to. And so that just tells me, we got people, that are asleep at the helm. I noticed now, people are jumping on human sex trafficking, but this is something that I've always been involved with. In fact, I am endorsed by Niecy Hamilton, who was involved and who was in human sex trafficking, okay, because of my work. So this is not something that I just got involved in. I've been involved in it.
Mm-hmm. You actually gave me, when you first chatted with me long time ago, I think in 2018 almost, when you first started, you brought to my attention, I was naive to the fact that there was that much, like Willowbrook, that area. I had no idea. But what I was going to bring that up next to say that, what is her name? Tisha Campbell and a young lady that I know, a friend of mine, they both, the young lady, she has a daughter here, and her daughter received this very weird email. And after reading the email, she says that they tried to get her daughter to meet her somewhere. So one of the things that I would ask you is, would you plan to give some classes, workshops, things that would help us to know what to look for, young people to know what to look for, even though they probably getting us too, but you know what I mean? Some of your young people, because when I saw the text message she posted on Facebook, it was scary. It was definitely scary.
Oh, absolutely. Education is the key. And I plan on, definitely bringing people like Niecy Hamilton in, who is an expert. See, I'm not an expert in that field.
Yeah.
Although I know there's a lot of work to be done, and I'm on the front line with it, but I'm not an expert like her.
Right.
I was on the talk show once, and it was about homelessness. Niecy was on the show because she's been homeless before, okay, along with another gentleman. And so I was just sitting there listening, and a person called in and said, well, why isn't that guy saying something? He's just sitting there, you know? And I said, well, I can answer that. I said, my mom always told me to shut up, you know, if you don't know what you're talking about, so you can learn, you know?
Right.
So I can't talk about being homeless because I've never been homeless.
Right.
I can't really talk about human sex trafficking because, you know, I've never been sex trafficked. You follow me? But they're experts. So what you do is you bring experts in, and they have those classes, you know.
Yes. And I heard you talk about creating diversity in for job opportunities. What do you talk to us about that?
Well, in the current Precinct 4, they have over 469 employees. And he was on the talk show one day, and they said, well, how many minorities do you have? And he said, well, I think I have one or two. Well, it should represent, you know, the community that you serve, okay? Now, I'm not talking about going in and find people and, you know, and bringing new people in, but what I am saying is, you know, when that opportunity arises, then you can bring, you know, minority people in, okay? Because you have good people, and they want their job, they deserve it, they have their job, okay? But now, on the other hand, if they're not doing their job, you gotta go. But as long as you're doing your job, you know, you got a job, okay? But when people retire, you know, then you can diversify. Or if you create another department with new employees, then you diversify, okay? But you can't tell me out of 469 employees, you can only find one minority that qualify for a job, and you have so many different types of jobs, you know?
It's really sad.
Yeah, I tell people I'm running to be commissioner, and I'm not trying to be anything but other than the very first best commissioner that Harris County Precinct 4 has ever had.
I like that.
I'm not trying to be the first bald-headed commissioner they've had, the biggest commissioner they've ever had. I just want to be the best commissioner we've ever had in Harris County Precinct 4, who has served the people till he could not serve anymore. And so when they put me in that grave, they go look at me and say, job well done. Job well done, because he served the people. You know, I just received the Lifetime Achievement Award from the President of the United States.
How did you feel about that?
Oh, I think it's great. But like anybody else, you never do anything for awards. You do the work, and the awards just come. Okay.
Tell us what makes you the best candidate for the commissioner of Precinct 4 in Harris County?
The current commissioner is a nice guy. I have nothing against him personally, but he was a judge. You know, I have dealt with infrastructure for the last 16 years. That's all I've done for the last 16 years. I'm a visionary. Most people can go into a situation and kind of manage it if you've already got a budget set up. But it takes a very talented individual to come into any kind of company that is $10 million in debt and bring life to that organization as I did. When I came into the utility district, they were $10 million in debt. I had to terminate the attorney, the tax assessor, the CPA at my kitchen table. Then at my kitchen table, I rehired a different attorney, tax assessor, CPA. They just built a $2.5 million wastewater plant, waste coming on the side. They say it had to cure. I sued the developer, and I'm not an attorney, but I won $112,000. They had to repair the plant. Within 5 years, I had over $5 million I invested in infrastructure using that modern technology system I told you about, which is CIP, the cured in place pipes. And now, see that I'm putting this out there, you're gonna see everybody want to use that system and say they're the ones who thought about it. But hey, on your show, you know, we're gonna mark this day at this time that, hey, Clarence Miller, you know, for instance, I believe in, there were nobody like me and you getting those $1 million contracts. So when I came into my utility district, I opened it up for minority vendors. In fact, when they didn't qualify, I went out and found people and assisted them on how to qualify for the contracts. I'm also responsible for over $500,000 into Unity Bank, which is a black bank. Yeah. And if you notice, the Commissioner Court just decided to put $5 million into that same bank. But I did that back in 2010, okay? So I'm a visionary. Yes. But I didn't do it, just so I can brag about it. I did it because there was a need. Utility districts have millions of dollars. They can't invest in stocks and bonds, but they can put it in the bank. So at the time, I convinced my utility directors, I said, let's put some in a minority-owned bank, and we only had one, which is Unity Bank. I invited the president out, he met the board, and we put the money in. But also, we put $240,000 in, but I convinced another mud district to put another 240. So that's why I'm responsible for $500,000. Okay. I tell people, when you're in a position of leadership, you have to be creative. You can't wait for the storm to come. You have to, be prepared before the storm comes. Okay. And so that has been the key to my success in everything that I've ever done. God has always given me vision to look, 5, 10 years down the road, and because I can't take the credit for it.
Yeah. So. I'm excited. Your birthday's coming up.
Yes, it is.
You are having a fundraiser on Thursday, February the 10th, at one of my favorite venues, 5 Central, which is located at 2736 Virginia, y'all. The event is from 6:30 to 10. My question to that is, let's just suppose someone that wants to help you, they really can't do community service, but they have $25, Clarence. Can they come and give you that $25?
Well, if you got $25, you come on. Come bring that $25.
I'm saying that because someone has said that, and I'm like, child, bring $10, whatever it is that you can do, and support him and tell people, he will appreciate it.
In fact, all they really have to do is go to my website, millerforcommissioner.com, and make that donation. Okay.
$25 on in there.
Yeah, just put it in there. Yeah, you ain't got to do no driving, no nothing. Just on your iPhone, on your computer, millerforcommissioner.com, and give me that $5, give me that $10, give me that $25.
And then tell your friend. I heard you on one.
Tell your friends, tell your cousins.
People to tell 10 people to tell 10 people. That's what you have to do. So guys, I want to say this before I let Clarence do his last words, is that early voting is February the 14th through February the 27th. And you should remember that because it's Valentine's Day. So when you think Valentine's Day, it's time to make sure you go ahead and start getting your votes in. And election day is March 1st, but don't wait until March 1st. Anything can happen. Your car break down. February the 14th to the 27th, right, Clarence?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So give us your last words.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for giving me this opportunity to even, talk to you today, and for the last 3 years to be out and just campaign, and I just want to thank all the beautiful people that I've met. I've really learned a lot, and when God first commanded me to start campaigning in 2018, I didn't really understand it, but now I understand why he had me to do that, because he knew I was going to have challenges, and he knew I didn't know what I was doing, so I've learned a lot, But as far as being a commissioner, I am ready day one to take charge because of my experience, been in training for the last 60 years. I tell people that we have people that are running, and they're good people. But they don't have my experience in infrastructure, and that is what the commissioner job is all about. It's about the flooding, it's about the improvement, infrastructure improvement, it's about roads, it's about bridges, and so that's what I do, and that's what I've been doing. And that's why, I am the best candidate to win in November. Even if they won the primaries, they're just not going to bring, in my opinion, vote, someone who don't have the experience and get rid of the man that you already got in there.
Yeah.
To have somebody who have experience I am the best choice for the job, okay? Because I am the best qualified, and I'm ready to step in at day one, okay? So thank y'all. Please go to millerforcommissioner.com, support the cause, because it's very expensive out here. Everything.
That's why we're gonna accept that $25.
That's right. I'm gonna accept that $5. Yeah, you want to give me $1? I'm gonna take that.
Exactly.
Yeah, see, I don't, my camp sets those deals up. I've got some very talented people. They all volunteers, and I'm just so blessed to have them. And so they said, well, we got to pay for the plays, we got to pay for the food.
Exactly.
So once we do that, then you got to at least have something go in the campaign. So,
right.
yeah.
Clarence, I just want to say to you, I wish you the best. I know that you're going to make this happen. You're going to be successful. But I also want to thank you from me publicly for always coming on my show. You were one of the very first people to come on my show. And that's a big deal to me because I'm just a little bitty talk show. So thank you. And thank you for being a good friend. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your campaign in the times that I've been able to do so. Thank you. And I wish you the best. And I know that you're going to be successful at this. Thank you so much.
Let me tell you something. There's nothing little about you. You're a very talented young lady. As you know, I know your mom, been knowing your mom for years, and then when I met you, you told me who you were. I said, okay, well, the apple don't fall far from the tree. So I love coming on your show, love talking to you. I think you're a very intelligent lady. I think you have a great platform, so don't ever play yourself down. And you got to speak it into existence, just like I speak this into existence. There's just no losing.
Yes, and thank you for that motivation of watching what you've done since 2018, because I do watch, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So thank you again, Clarence, and you have a good night and get you some rest.
Oh, absolutely. You have a great day.
Thank you again, Mr. Clarence Miller, for Commissioner Miller. Thank you for coming on the show on Talk About It Tuesday with Chat with Trina. I really appreciate your open, honest, and transparent responses to my questions. Thank you for what you have always done and what you continue to do for our community. I really appreciate it, and I know the community does as well. I wish you and your team the best. We know that you're going to be successful, and just thank you, and thank you. Good luck, and y'all remember, go to Miller for Commissioner on any of the social media platforms and make your donation, ask how to volunteer, and then just share and like his post on all social media. But y'all don't forget to support me too. Go to youtube.com/chatwithtrina, subscribe, and then hit that little bell so you can be notified when I upload a new video. Guys, remember, Election Day is March 1st.